are listening to Just Roll Ones, your first stop for the last argument of kings. Join us as we delve into the epic world of Conquest, where strategy meets miniature warfare. From tactics to lore, we've got it all covered. Get ready to conquer the battlefield with us. Ladies, gentlemen, and fish gnomes of all ages, welcome to your first stop for the last argument of kings. This is the Conquest podcast, Just Roll Ones. My name's Aaron, and I'm joined today with my co-host James.
Hey mate, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you, James. We're official now. Big news. We've got an affiliate code that people can use.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, there. So we've obviously talked. We've talked enough, not rubbish, to now mate have a code. So I think just to start off with, if anyone's planning on making any purchases on the Parabellum website, on the web store, and they'd like to help us out and support us, you can use our code JRO, the Just Roll Ones, and it will save you 10% at the store. And we can use that money to buy James more swords. I could buy socks. That's what I'm looking for there. So, no, thank you. That's it. Exciting news. Look at that. I can now put a code down in the description.
Yeah, awesome.
So yeah, how are you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a bit of a busy time. When did we do our last recording?
The 14th of January.
14th of January. Cool. That was. Was that just before? Yeah, that was just before. Yeah. No, I've been good. I want to do a massive shout out to Matt down in Cornwall. Who ran a really fun event. The reason I asked was, it was on the 18th of January, and I know that I can't remember if I'd kind of shouted him out or not. But no, Vanguard Matt down in Cornwall puts on some really good events down there, so I went down and joined in on one of them, the Dice Smash Cup, it's known as. First one of the year, and awesome event. The Cornwall guys down there are all great fun, and the location is just beautiful. Like it's right on top of a hill, and you can see down it to the beach.
Oh, lovely!
And the sea and everything. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning.
Oh,
so it's almost like you go down there for a weekend just for the views and everything. And the Eden Project is like just around the corner. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. And James, how did that event go? How did you do it at this event?
It went successfely.
Good. Yeah.
I walked away with a trophy.
Fantastic.
That's all I'll say. Yeah. I'm also sponsoring like Matt and the Dice Smash with the cups you get as well from the tournament.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, really cool mugs. But that was a really fun event. Took first place with the Wadroon. There's some really good, close, fun games.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, the final game involved taking on 2 big blocks of Varangian Guard, which were horrendous.
Fantastic. There you go.
Which were just horrific, yeah. But no, awesome event. How have you been?
Yeah, good, thank you. In terms of hobby, I've been building my Nords list up. So I've got kind of getting to the end of it now. I can see the end in sight. Here's a captain. I know you can't see it, unfortunately. There's got a little captain conversion I've done. But I've got 1 box of Valkyries left to build. And then I'm sorted. Yeah, they've been that. You know what? It's been all right building them all. They've been an all right set of models to build. The only problem I have is that I bought 2 models of Valkyries, and they both came with grouped stands. So I was scrambling around trying to find spare infantry stands I've got knocking about. But yeah. So I'm sure I'll contact Parabellum eventually and sort it. But I opened.
Sorry, I was going to say, are you going to keep them individual bases and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
normally magnetize
okay.
them on for if I ever want to be the third first blood player in the world. But yeah, so I yeah, really nice. I've enjoyed building the Nords. I'm hopefully going to enjoy playing the Nords, and then we've just got what we're waiting for now. I'll be really honest. I've been playing a lot of Malifaux the last few weeks. Yeah, so that's a great game. Huge fan.
Yeah.
If anyone else wants to play Malifaux, but no, I think at the moment I'm now waiting on. Well, actually, I lie. I'm going to a Conquest tournament in 2 weeks.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, ran by Daryl up in Newcastle. So really looking forward to that.
Oh, awesome.
Um, I believe he's still got some tickets left. So if anyone was interested in going to a good fun tournament up in Newcastle way, then I'm sure there's still time to book a ticket. And yeah, they can just find Daryl on the UK Discord or find him on Facebook, and yeah, you should be able to sort that.
Yeah.
It's called. I would make it. It's
Is
called
it called?
Conquer the North.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, Conquer the North number 4. So really excited to go to that.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah, so
awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
What,
definitely.
what, what, what are you going to What are you going to take? Do you know your list
I,
yet?
I'm taking Nords. I'm taking Raiders,
Hmm.
and I'm taking Berserks,
Hmm.
and I'm taking some Valkyries. So yeah, that's my list.
Awesome.
I feel like people on the Discord seem to be pretty down on Valkyries. Not big fans. I love them. I think they're great. So yeah, we'll see. I'm a bit jealous. I've been seeing people online playing a lot of pig lists. Um,
Yeah.
so I really love the pig models too, but I don't think I can justify buying like 4 boxes of them just yet.
No, that's fair. But you're going to very mortal heavy.
Yeah, which I never thought I'd do with Nords,
Nice.
but I do like their rules. I think they're really fun to play at the moment.
Yeah,
Um,
nice. That's
yes,
it.
that'd be nice.
You're recreating the Great Viking Conquest.
Exactly, exactly.
Viking army of the north. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, the Vikings that came from the south of England and took the north of. That's exactly how it happened historically. I've decided.
Absolutely. Nice. That's awesome.
So today James and I are going to be talking about which units are the best hammers in each faction. So um, to start off with, like we mentioned before, what would you really consider a hammer unit? How would you describe what a hammer is?
So obviously, something that hits. You think of a hammer. It's something that hits something really hard.
Mhm.
So in wargaming, when you're talking about a hammer unit, you're normally talking about something that's really killy, really good in combat. Um, that's how I see it, but I also see it as something that hits really hard first.
Yeah,
That like initial charge. So you think of it like a hammer. It's not like you're hitting the nail and then you're like pushing it.
that is bad hammer
You're giving it a
usage.
great big, yeah, you're giving it like a great big whack.
Mhm.
Like fewer hits better, the better.
Mhm.
So in like for Conquest, for me, a hammer unit is something that can do the most damage off of a charge.
Mhm.
Like you don't
I
need to be stuck in combat.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's a bit of there's a difference there between so taking what you said, I think it's a unit that you're going to do a big hit with. You're going to want to do a lot of damage, kind of straight off the bat. They're different to, I guess, what I'd call maybe like a brawler unit. So a
Yeah,
brawler would be something like Ashen Dawn, where you want them to kind of go in and then they're going to stay in combat and they're going to do damage over time.
yeah,
So they might still win the combat, but a hammer, you're looking for something that's really going to put the hurt out quickly.
absolutely. And like a brawler, yeah, to build on that, to me, a hammer unit is something that needs to get that charge. Like
Mhm.
Ashen Dawn, a brawler unit, it doesn't really like they're not too fussed whether they get charged or not,
Yeah.
because if they're in combat, they're happy. Like to
Mhm.
me, a good hammer unit is something that like the limitation of it or what it really wants to do to be a proper hammer is hit first, not get
Yes.
charged and then hit back with whatever's left. It wants
No,
to hit
definitely,
that
yeah.
and wipe that target out.
Yeah, and I think I guess building on that, one of the things is not all. This isn't true for all hammer units, but quite often they can be characterized by having quite a low defense. So the reason you want to be hitting first is that these aren't your defensive units. If your opponent gets into them first, then they're likely to do enough damage to kind of neuter the
Yeah.
unit. And I guess maybe later on we'll talk about kind of ways to deal with your opponent's hammer and how to identify what it is. But exactly what you're saying. If you can stop these units charging, usually that's a good thing to do. That's a
100%.
good move, yeah. So I think I'd agree. So we're looking basically today. We're going to be talking about if you want to kill things, who are the best things at killing. So if you're when you're building an army list. And I guess this is kind of coming into maybe a kind of a series of videos, but it's going to be just about like general kind of list building. So when you're building, usually you are going to need to have a few hammer units. So a few units that are going to be able to do damage and kill your opponent's stuff. So I think the first thing is, of course, they need to do a lot of damage, and the second really is to be a really good hammer unit, you need to be able to get where you need to go. So I think the best faction to start off with, maybe 100 Kingdoms. Kind of look at what your hammer units are going to be. And I think there's a really obvious contender to start with, which is the Order of the. Oh, actually, I was going to say the Order of the Crimson Tower, who are like mounted squires but good. Well, okay. Order of the Crimson Tower have issues as a unit that aren't the fact that they aren't a hammer. So, looking at kind of the Order of the Crimson Tower, their movement 7, which is really good. And these guys are like a shock cavalry, which I think we might probably see as a recurring theme with a lot of the hammers that we talk about. These guys are Clash 3. They are Devastating Charge, which gives them Impact +1 and Line Breaker. They are Brutal Impact 2. So these guys are basically wanting to charge in. They're going to be doing 5 attacks a stand. So that's, I'm right. Sorry. If I say 5 attacks, it's not based on attacks. It's based off their impact stat. But they gain Impact +1. So they're getting 5 impact attacks a stand. They're running that at Brutal Impact 2. So Cleave 2 with Line Breaker. They've got Wedge to give themselves Cleave +1, on the follow up to this. So these guys are, and they're Terrifying 1. So these guys are able to really put the hurt in. And against maybe a slightly lighter unit, maybe like a medium or a light unit, they can probably do a march charge and wipe out a fair chunk of that unit off that one activation. So that's a 14-inch threat, a 15-inch threat without rolling a charge, which is obviously really, really good. Do you have any thoughts on Order of the Crimson Tower?
I mean, they are a very good definition of a hammer unit. They are wanting to hit hard, and ideally, they're not a brawler one, because if you can tie up Crimson Tower, as with like a lot of hammer units, sometimes if you can tie them up in combat, they're not actually that good in combat. So Crimson Tower, they've got like quite reliable hits, but they haven't got any cleave. They don't. After that charge, they don't have any cleave going into like future turns, etc., or future rounds. They want to hit something in that initial punch, and either delete it or completely neuter it. And Crimson Tower is a really good example of that. I mean, the Devastating Charge that you said, like it's an interesting one, because ideally what you want in like Conquest is like a devastating, like a big heavy charge, and ideally be able to follow it up with some combat as well.
Mm-hmm.
What Crimson Tower offer is like you can in theory kind of gauge what target you're looking at, and obviously distances as well. But if you're facing like a lot of basic infantry, or maybe you actually want the charge followed by the clash.
Yeah.
So there's a really nasty charge hitting into them, which could possibly break them. And then you've got the follow up. You've got like the follow up clash, which is probably enough to probably shatter whatever's left. But because of a devastating charge, if you're also going into like, let's say Thanes, for instance, they also have like they can have shield, like men at arms with bastion, let's say, so they can have like a shield and bastion and all that. You can then say, well, I'm going to march and charge, and they then get the line breaker.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they can be a really they can be like a sort of like almost like a bit of a tailored hammer, depending on what you want.
Yeah.
You've got kind of two
That's
options
cool,
of using them. Yeah, I mean they are really good hammer unit. I think they're definitely better than what they were before the Hundred Kingdoms update. And actually, this is in. We're talking about Hammer one. Are we going to talk about like what you could do with characters in them as well?
I think that's a fair. Yeah, I think that's
Because
fair.
a
Yeah.
bit of an obvious one would then be okay. You put the Priory Commander with them, and you give him the Lorien Lance.
Oh, of
The
course. Yeah.
Lorien Lance gives the character reroll failed hits when performing impact attacks, and gives him brutal impact +1. So he could be brutal impact 3, and if you then do like that march charge with the Crimson Tower, he's then kind of brutal impact 3 with Linebreaker.
Yeah.
So that's enough to get through. That's enough to get through an entire. Go straight through a defense of like an opponent's Ashen Dawn. An opponent's Crimson Tower or something themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, they're so yeah. I think these are kind of a really good example of what a hammer would be, isn't it?
Yes.
Like they've kind of got everything, don't they? They're fast, they hit hard, they don't stick around particularly well, and exactly like you said, if you are able to charge them first, they kind of fall apart. They're not scary if they haven't charged. Now, what I don't see Crimson Tower too often. I see them a little bit. It's not like I've never seen them. But really, I think the reason that these guys are not played a huge amount is that they're competing with Ashen Dawn as a heavy restricted choice, and that's kind of it, isn't it? So, but I think that's a really, really good example. Can you think of any others in the 100 Kingdom that could be a contender?
I mean, I'm looking through them. I kind of want to say. I want to say like it's a similar thing to Household Knights. Like they're not so much of a hammer. Yeah, they're not so much of a hammer, but they're deceiving.
Mm-hmm.
You can give them the veterans stuff now, so they get like that +1 clash, so they can go up to clash 3. They're still impact 3 themselves, and they're still brutal impact 1. And because they're a bit cheaper, you can tend to have a bigger blob of them. So you could have maybe like a unit of 5 or so. When you have a unit of 5, that's still 15. Like 15 impact hits on 3s with brutal impact 1. And again, you stick like the Noble Lord in with them and give him the Lorien Lance, and it makes him more deadly as well. But they're not going to be as devastating as Crimson Tower. But I think a big blob of Household Knights also does a similar thing.
Yeah,
it's not.
definitely.
It's like the difference between a hammer and a sledgehammer. Like Crimson Tower are a sledgehammer. These guys are that small mallet, like that smaller hammer. So it's still going to hurt. They're not going to be as devastating as the alternative. But I still think they've got something there. And again, they still suffer from the same thing. So what you're saying about if you manage to charge Crimson Tower first, when you look at like defense stats, mostly there's really like they're not really that much difference from Household Knights.
Yeah, no, I think that's
the two are pretty much the same.
And now as well that 100 Kingdoms is a little bit more kind of atomized or siloed in terms of list building. There's a pretty good chance you aren't going to have feudal and veterans in the same list. I don't know, you can, but
Yeah.
so they do fill a similar role, but in different kind of facets of the army.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think
they're like
pretty good.
they're like a weaker Crimson Tower if you decide to go feudal and feast.
Yeah, that's it. They're a cheaper Crimson Tower, aren't they? So I think
Oh yeah, cheaper. Yeah.
yeah, but so in true Hundred Kingdoms fashion, the first two we talked about are our cavalry, and I think there was one honourable mention,
Go on.
which is the Steel Legion.
I was thinking then, but they're also like they stick around more now as well.
A little
Like
bit.
I
A little bit.
think they definitely used to be a proper hammer, definitely.
Yeah.
Because if ever they got hit, they kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
But they're definitely a bit more tanky than what they were.
Okay. I mean, I think, I don't think that they are. They're not like force grown drone. Sorry, to be very clear, they're not minimum unit of force grown drone.
No, God,
Like,
no.
but they're. Yeah, I mean, I think that you still don't necessarily want them to be at the front line of your army, but I see what I mean. So, they can brawl a little bit. They can brawl a little bit better, I think, than at least the previous two options we've talked about.
Yeah.
I still think the best way to use them is kind of a bit more like a scalpel when you're going through. Obviously,
I reckon so.
Oblivious is good. Yeah, Bravery is good. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I think that's covered it. And so, right, I'm saying this with no experience having played against it. What do you think of the Archangel?
Yeah, I mean the Archangel. So for me, this is like a nice like probably what you find with a lot of monsters is this is kind of like a nice in between, like a hammer and a brawler.
Mm. Yeah,
So this thing is going to hurt if it hits you. This thing is going to hurt if it hits you. And I mean, it's got impact 5, but because it hasn't got any like brutal impact or anything, and I know it's got the what's the thing, but it's got the ability.
which one do you mean? On the sword?
Charges 12 inches. Ignores hindering. You take 7 auto hits with the smite special rule.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. That goes through. But that is a little situation in a way because there are quite a few things that have evasion now. So smite ignores your defense, but it doesn't ignore evasion.
Yeah.
So that might be kind of dependent on what kind of army you're going into and what regiments you're going to want to charge. But to me, to me, the Archangel is gonna hurt whenever it hits you, whether it's charged or not. And those five impact hits are like, I normally see them as just like a bit of bonus.
Yeah,
like it's not its main like skit like the Crimson Tower.
Mm-hmm.
It's like some bonus little hits it can do, but the main thing is the damage it's going to do in combat. But that same amount of damage is going to come whether it's been charged or not.
Yeah, I think when I've when I've seen the Archangel, it's usually been played with the shield, and so it's a little bit more defensive and a little bit less of a hammer in that case. But yeah,
a defense 4 evasion to 18 wound monster.
Yeah,
is like Talos level of stubbornness.
Why do monsters keep getting evasion? Right? And poor dragon slayers are still trying to be good. Right? They're there with their. Are they cleave 4? Because it doesn't matter.
They like cleave through your fiend hunter.
Look, they could be cleave 5 at this point. It doesn't matter because all these monsters are just like dancing around them. Like
I know.
Poor dragon hunters. Or dragon slayers.
I still don't know how Drake's good at.
Me neither.
I still don't know what evasiveness there is in a Drake.
I mean, they're very speedy Drakes. Yeah, we'll have to ask Leo what the lore is on Drakes at some point. Oh, that should be my question. I'm going to save that for you. That's going to be the question next time. But lore with James. How are Drakes so evasive?
Oh, drinks in the face.
So yeah, I mean, that was nice and straightforward. Hundred
Yeah.
Kingdoms, true to their nature. You know, not much complicated about that. They've got guys on horses with big spears, and yeah, it's pretty good at charging things. It turns out horses.
Hmm.
Bit of a shout out to a previous episode. Horses are really big, right? So they're pretty scary guys there.
Mm.
So go on. So the next of the OG factions then is Spires. So I'm going to let you start off with this one. What do you think would be one of the hammer units in Spires?
Um, I think for Spires, like going down I've been going down like a similar route with the 100k. You probably like one of the standout ones is probably the Centaur of Tara.
Yeah.
Very similar to the Crimson Tower in the sense of they want to, if you can charge and then hit, they're going to do a lot more damage. I mean, their impact 3 with brutal impact 2.
Mhm.
So that's not, it's not as like deadly as Crimson Tower, but
Mhm.
then they have flurry as well. So this is really, and they got a bit of a better move. They got a bit of a better march, so they're March 8 instead of 7. So they can cover a bit more ground. They're a bit more reliable to getting into combat. Um, but you want, yeah, this is where like they'll do that charge, and it will still do some damage. But then you got a real kind of reliable clash for it, like clash stage. So
Yeah.
they clash 3 normally. That could go up to 4 in the inspired, and then you'll flurry on that. And they're
Yeah.
5 attacks in, about 16. So a basic minimum unit is going to be doing 9 impact hits at brutal impact 2 and clash 3, followed by 16 clash 4 attacks with flurry.
Yeah. 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 I think they're really.
They're definitely a hammer. They're definitely a hammer one. Their hammer isn't so much just from the charge; it's from the charge, which ideally you really want followed up by that clash.
Yeah. And I think Spires obviously have the tools to help them manage that.
Yeah,
They're a little bit more tricky than a little bit more tricky than the Hundred Kingdoms, obviously. So sometimes when we're looking through stuff here, it maybe is going to be a little bit different. Though I don't. I think it's still fairly obvious. I agree though. The Centaur Avatar are pretty good. My second unit would be the Sentinels, the Incarnate Sentinels, because you
yes.
don't want them to be charged. Um, the the Incarnate Sentinels are really good in combat, and they don't. When you look at them, they don't necessarily gain anything by charging. The problem is if your opponent charges them first, they're probably going to start to die. Um, like Defense 4, Resolve 3 doesn't actually survive. Like in my head, they should survive longer, but in practice, they never seem to. For me, they just seem to die. And so, if your opponent kind of march charges you, I'll be honest, I would never march charge a unit of Sentinels that haven't activated yet because they can then just activate and kill you. But
Yeah.
yeah, you want to get that charge off with them. You want to be striking first, just because they might die. They don't have a lot of staying power. You can add it to them.
No.
If you have a Biomancer in there with like Avatar projection, it can work. It's not that they're complete glass cannons, but I always seem to find that they die fairly quickly. They move 7, so they can get where they need to be. Clash 3 is nice, 5 attacks, so they're able to, and they are cleave 2, which is huge in Spires. They
Yes.
don't have a huge amount of access to cleave 2, so that's really nice to have as well.
Yeah, I agree. I
And
agree
so here's
definitely.
one to throw at you. What do you think about the Siege Breaker Behemoth?
Um, I do. I haven't faced one yet. I don't think.
No, me neither.
Or at least certainly not for a while. Um, I think so. Like I think I would definitely put it more. Yeah, I definitely kind of put this more as a um, as a hammer more than a brawler. I think because I say only, but it only has 10 attacks.
Yeah,
When we're looking at monsters, normally monsters might have um, like the apex predator, for example. He's only got about 11, and that's normally considered like the small, like the low end
yeah,
of the number of attacks a monster can have. This guy's got 10,
yeah,
so he hasn't got that many attacks. Yes, he's got smite, which is good, which is great. Again, it's ignoring all that defense, but you still got to roll to see what hits. And out of 10
yeah,
dice, maybe 2 or 3 of them might be a fail. So really, you've only got seven hits going through.
yeah,
So he's got impact 5, brutal impact 3. So you really want that charge off with him as well, just to help make up for those fewer number of hits he'd do compared to other monsters.
yeah.
And I know people who have used siege breakers when they're in the midst of combat, they don't necessarily stick around that long.
Oh no, these things die.
Yeah, they haven't got any
Think
evasion.
no. They've only got 16 wounds.
Mm.
Like the defense 4, the resolve 4, but if you throw say cleave 2 into this, it's gonna I think fall pretty quickly. Kind of in a
Yeah,
monster on monster fight, I don't think it's gonna hold up particularly well in that.
I, d- I don't think so. No, not overall.
Wow.
I would put Seed Breakers up as a very honourable mention.
That's good. I mean, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think you're necessarily going to see too many of them. But you know what? Actually, I think I have played against one. I think Matt had one in our game at UK Game Expo last year. So I might have faced
Oh,
one,
okay.
and I don't remember. So it can't have been a particularly scary. I remember lots of things about Matt's list, and whether it had a siege break or not is not one of them. So I do remember. I do remember a block of 12 scoring fourth grade drones. So that's
Yeah,
maybe it was more than 14. We had a lot of drones on that table.
that was a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
So the next faction up for this is the Dwegon, and
Yes.
I'm going to start off with the saddest hammer
Go for it.
because all these guys want to do is hunt dragons and hunt monsters, and they should be good at it, right? But
Yeah.
everything has evasion. It's very frustrating. So Dragon Slayers, I think, should be the epitome of a hammer in the game. It's Dragon. That's generally what they do. They're normally good for stats. These guys are cleave 3. They have Fiend Hunter. They're Clash 4. Um,
Yeah.
you know, the problem with these guys is, firstly, like I've said, there's so much evasion now that Cleave 3 isn't actually that reliable in killing a monster. It's probably actually not much better than Cleave 2, unless you're fighting a Siege Breaker, and in that case, these guys are brilliant. But
Mm.
I think what lets these guys shine is the movement 5. They're just a little bit too. They've got some stumpy legs. They're struggling to get by.
Yeah, I agree. They're also they are the most expensive infantry in the game, alongside the Chosen Death at the
Oh
moment as
wow!
well. Yeah, so
Oh
you are. I mean, at 220 points,
yeah,
and ideally
Uh,
you're going to want to take a Standard Bear with them, so that's another 20 points. So
yeah.
realistically, they're 240.
Yeah, wow. So what you're
Yeah,
telling me is there are no good units at 220 points.
effectively, yeah. No good infantry.
No
No
good
good
infantry
infantry.
at 220 points.
No, I agree. It's thing is that I think if you're going to use Dragon Slayers, like it's almost like now if you're going monsters, because now every faction has a monster, including Hundred Kingdom. It's almost like you're just going to let your monster fight their monster and see who wins.
Mm,
I think with Dragon Slayers, their targets now have probably shifted more towards brutes,
yeah,
and there are
yeah,
still quite a few brute units that don't have any evasion, and are still around that kind of like defense 2, defense 3 or so.
yeah.
So they're the kind of things that, or if they do have any evasion, maybe typically they have like evasion one. So those are the kind of things that the Dragon Slayers are going to really want to chew through. Not so much for monsters anymore. But yeah, they are definitely what a hammer wants to be. They're tough. They're on paper they're tough. With the hardened 2 and 6 wounds and defense 3. But because they're so expensive, you may not want to have like a massive blob of them anyway, and you're certainly not going to want to spam them.
No.
So once you start getting rid of one stand or so, you're starting to neuter them pretty quickly. So yeah, they are. They're a hammer unit, definitely. They're definitely the Dragon's hammer unit. They're just not necessarily a good hammer unit.
Well, I think another problem they've got is the next unit, I'd say, which is is in the same warband. So Dragon Slayers are only in the Rays warband, as is the Ironclad Drake, which is just a better Dragon Slayer unit. So I think now, I know we said before about like brawlers and stuff and kind of taking first hit. The problem with Dwaggo is they're all actually pretty sturdy. So here, obviously, an Ironclad Drake, it's not just going to roll over. It's defense 3. It's got 17 wounds. It's a really solid unit. But yeah, I think that the Ironclad Drake is a really good hammer. So it's cleave 2, which is less than obviously the Dragon Slayers, but it has 12 attacks and it's brutal impact 2, and it has relentless blows as well. And I also think for added fun points, you can put a Ray on top of it with Dragobund, and then you're a real hammer. I think that might be a bit over the top.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably definitely going to kill whatever you need to.
Yeah.
Definitely the Ironclad. I'm just looking through the list, like looking at what like other mentions there could be. But yeah, I agree with you about the Ironclad is probably the best. Is probably the best hammer unit the Dragon have got, and just generally, it's a very solid hammer. Like against any faction.
Yeah,
you don't necessarily want to see an Ironclad Drake charging towards you.
No, exactly. Let alone 2 Ironclad Drakes. That'd be a lot of beef.
2 Ironclad Drakes with two whole Drakes on them.
I think there's well, exactly. With a big axe. I think that there's the other honourable mention would be the Magmaforged, the new halberd dwarves, because they're pretty beefy. That again, cleave 2 or death 4 doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think that they're also pretty good. Though defense 3, resolve 4. Though these guys are movement 6, so they're more likely to kind of get into where they need to be compared to the Dragon Slayers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was thinking either the Magmaforged or the Flame Berserkers as like a decent hammer unit as well.
That's true too. I think
Flame Berserkers can be quite, again, a bit. They can be deceptive and how effective and how good they are. And I know whenever I see Flame Berserkers, they are normally like one of the most threatening things on the board to me.
Yeah, I mean, Flame Berserkers are very, very good. As in their name, I think, I'd agree with that. I think Flame Berserkers, you can also take. You're probably, they're pretty hardy, but you probably are. You want them in charging stuff. I think that's a good point. The nice thing about Aura of Death is it doesn't kind of hit on the charge, obviously, but if you manage to do enough damage to your opponent, then that Aura of Death there can kind of clear up any of the leftovers in the next activation.
Yeah, I'd include Aura of Death as part of a hammer unit, definitely, because it's still that extra hit that the target is taking before they get to do anything back to you.
Yes, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
what do you think? What do you think of this? What do you think of the steel forged being a hammer?
I don't. I wouldn't necessarily
Like
consider them a
flat
hammer.
powered.
No,
Yeah.
I think it. You know, alluding to the next, episode we could do. I think they're a very good anvil unit.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah.
Right.
No. I think. Yeah. I think Ironclad Drake definitely the best one in the Dragon.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I'd
Dragon
agree.
Slayers aren't bad. It's just their preferred target just ignores probably their main thing, which is their high cleave.
Yeah, no, exactly. Also, I think they're bad in general.
I don't know. I don't think they're. I don't think they're bad. I think they're just very expensive. They're very
Uh,
limited. I don't think they're bad themselves. They're just not getting their proper time to shine.
if Dwegum had human resources, they'd currently be on a pip. Is what they would be. They're on a performance improvement plan. They're
Yeah,
not
all right,
meeting their
fair enough.
targets, is it? So
Yeah,
next
fair.
is my new babies is the Nords,
Yeah,
and I
I'll
think
let
there's
you let you go. Yeah, I'll let you go
well,
first with these with your babies.
I mean, the standout is the Bears They are just fantastic.
Mm.
They're cleave two. They are
Mhm.
tenacious. They have Vanguard. Yeah, they're just really great. Huge fan of the Bears. Now, move six is good. 5 attacks is good. These guys just, I think, have a really fun time. Am I missing something? I thought that and you also give them a savage,
You're missing a. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you're missing a certain thing you can give them.
which yeah, they can form an additional free charge during their activation. So
Yeah, cool.
these guys can move six, charge 7, or d6 plus 6, and then do a clash. So yeah, these guys are just an exceptional hammer. This is a lovely 200-point unit that and look, the defense 2, the evasion 1, they're only four wounds per stand. Like, if you manage to charge them, you get into them first, you're probably going to wipe out a lot of their kind of hitting power. But yeah, I think that they're really strong unit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I thought you were going to say the. I thought you were going to say the beast pack, the
I
Gultra, the big pigs.
I love the big pigs, but do you want to go over the piggies?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we got to. I think we got to a beast pack would be my pick for proper
Mhm.
hammer unit. They are so again they're ones that they're medium cavalry. They definitely want the charge. I think they're definitely more focused on the charge um, than getting that clash. So they've got impact 3 each. They got brutal impact 1. They've also got like line breaker
Mhm.
and another nice element they got is trample 2. The trample
Yeah.
comes up a couple of times. But yeah, these guys are ones that want to get that charge off. So they want to. They're not, to me. They're not necessarily too fussed about sticking around in the combat. It's about
Mhm.
getting that initial charge, hitting them if they've got any follow up clash afterwards. Fantastic. I guess in that sense, they're not as they're not as like reliably going to charge and clash like the Bear Sarks. But the Bear Sarks
Yeah.
don't have any like impact or anything anyway.
No,
So
exactly.
yeah, these guys are like these guys are like a Nord version of Crimson Tower.
Yeah, I think these
Quite
are.
quite nasty, quite nasty. Yeah, quite nasty. Uh, Charge. Not necessarily too fussed with the combat afterwards, with the clash
Mhm.
afterwards. And although they've only got impact 1, I think the trample 2 helps make up for that difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, the trample 2 is if anything is still alive and and they're in contact with it in their front arc, then that enemy regiment takes 2 hits per stand, like auto hits. Yeah. So yeah, I think actually, again, a basic unit of them are going to do um, 9 impacts with brutal 1, and then if you don't have a clash, you get another 6 auto hits after that.
Yeah, for sure. And
So,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah, they're really good, gorgeous models. Um,
Yeah.
and I, I think that's an awful lot of the hammers in Nords. So
I
they're
think
obviously
so.
a
I mean,
good
everything
starting
else
faction. Yeah.
is. Yeah, I think so. I'd probably want to. I'd probably put the Steel Chosen down as a hammer as
Yeah,
well.
possibly. Yeah, I think so.
Simply because they're not. A lot of Nord stuff don't have a lot of defense. So
No,
these guys
that's
are
true.
only defense 2, evasion 1. If they're not getting in combat and hitting first,
Mhm.
then you can probably be pretty sure that they're not going to be around.
That's true. That's true. And I guess you've also got the Uger as well. Cleave 2, impact 2. I
Yeah.
was thinking
Yeah.
of the werewolves, but
Mm,
I don't think necessarily they are a hammer. I'm not saying they're not good on the charge. I think they're they're a very strong unit, but I do think that they're more of what I call a skirmisher unit. Like
yeah.
you're probably not reliably having your unit of werewolves charge into an enemy unit to kill it, unless it's a
No.
lighter unit.
Yeah. Unless you're really targeting what kind of regiment you're charging them into.
Yeah, I
If you're
mean, I think
charging them into archers or something, then yeah, they're probably going to be a devastating hammer. But then anything charging into archers is probably going to be a devastating hammer.
exactly. Yeah, and I think maybe another role we haven't mentioned would be kind of like a skirmisher, which I think these guys are very good at. Like you're saying, their preferred unit, their preferred target is going to be some kind of archer unit. And the fact they've got regeneration 3 means that they're able to kind of take that chip damage on the way in.
Yes.
Yeah, I think very very strong. I know you can put them with the Werevarg, or the Vargir Lord, who's obviously their chosen unit,
Yeah.
and we'll give them flurry, which is really really good. So yeah,
Yes.
that's it. Yeah. Oh,
I
good.
mean,
So
this is a faction with probably the most amount of giants. Would you say any of them
not really,
are a hammer unit?
not really. I mean, the Mountain Jotnar is. I'd put them all probably in the brawler camp. Um, their defense 3 resolve 4, defense 2 resolve 3 for the sea Jotnar, but they're 16 wounds. They don't really. I know they have impact attacks, but they don't get a huge amount for charging. Um, they're all fairly tanky. Like the Mountain Jotnar is hardened 1. The Ice Jotnar does like magic stuff. Is it encase or ice armor?
Yeah.
To give it +1 defense. Like, they're all I think pretty good brawlers in this faction.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Would there be an honourable mention for you, or is it
Not
pretty kind of clear
really.
what's a hammer and not?
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered it there with the Bearsarks and the Galter. I think I would put the Steel Chosen as my honourable mention, maybe, or maybe
Hmm.
the Uger. But I think that a lot of the other units are more kind of skirmishers or brawlers in this case. They're the two kind of units you're really taking to smash into your opponent.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Um, and then the next faction on it is probably what, the Wardroom.
Yeah. So next up is the Wadroon.
Awesome.
So take it away, Mr. James.
Underriders.
Yeah. Cool.
Absolutely Thunderriders. Yeah. Yeah.
Go over the
Yeah. Go
profile of the.
on. Yeah. So Thunderriders are. I mean, it's just everything about them. Even some of the names of the special rules shout hammer to them. So they are Yeah, they are these guys, much like the Crimson Tower. Um, they're not that fussed about backlash. They really want the impact, and they have. To me, these guys are better than the Crimson Tower in this sense, because they also get that trample too at the end. So they've got Impact 4, Brutal Impact 2. They've got Line Breaker, so anything with shields, that's effectively Cleave 3 or Brutal Impact 3. They've got Juggernaut, which is it's a blessing and a curse. So Juggernaut means that effectively they're always rolling a 5 on their charge roll, so it's their March +5.
Yeah.
And that can't be affected by any rule that would like add or reduce that. So reliably that for these guys, they've got a March 6, so reliably you've got a 11-inch charge.
Yeah.
You don't need to roll anything for that. On the other hand, your opponent also knows that you have a maximum 11-inch charge. So if they say 12, if they say just out of that 11, you can't charge them. Unless you march first, which is what these guys really want to do, because they also have another rule called Thundering Charge. So Thundering Charge is if they perform a march before the charge, so a bit like what the Ashen Door, a bit like what the Crimson Tower can do, then they gain Brutal Impact +1 until the end of a round. So if you march and then charge them, they've got a 6-inch march, so they can go 6. You then got their charge distance, which is again at 6 + 5 is about 11. So they have a 17. They basically effectively have a 17-inch threat range, charge range.
Yeah.
And if you do that and they hit, that's then going to be Impact 4 on Brutal Impact 3 with Line Breaker. Yeah. So that is enough to get through your Crimson Tower Knights, your Household Knights. Brutal Impact 3 is also going to take Ashen Dawn down to roll it down to 1s. And then if they're still sticking around after that, then you've got the Trample 2 after that as well.
Yeah.
So again, basic unit, that's going to be 12 impact hits followed by 6 tramples. And again, tramples are those auto hits. So yeah, at the moment they are one of the big things in Wardroom lists. They are a definite hammer unit. I don't think there's any better. There's very few better examples of a hammer unit in the game at the moment. And they want that march. And if you then combine the chanting with them, and you give them that little conquest to their march, then they go 8 plus their 6 plus their 5. So basically, they go up to 19.
Yeah,
which is incredible. So these guys are great, and realistically, they're only available. They're available in 2 war bands, but what you normally take with them at the moment is a Thunder Chieftain as well. So if you add him into the unit and you add his Supremacy of the Shock, that's then all those impact hits at Clash 4 as well. If they get that charge, yeah. So yeah, Thunder Riders are like one of the best examples of a hammer unit.
I would agree. I think they're really fantastic example.
What would you say?
Well, I think the other example in Woodroom, which I think at the moment is probably their only other one, would be the Apex Predator. As a monster again, it's movement 8, it's cleave 2, it's got Fiend Hunter, Deadly Blaze. The Apex Predator wants to be kind of charging into the flanks of a unit or of a monster, and trying to kill it as quickly as possible. It's defense 3, it's 15 wounds. So it's not unkillable. I'm not saying it's easy to kill, but I would say that you're probably looking at you want the Apex Predator to be getting the charge and to be killing what it hits. In that trade would be my example. I think you're right. I think the Thunder Riders are probably the best example of a hammer unit. Better
definitely.
Crimson Tower, I think.
I think so. If they can get, because of that trample. I mean, they have the same number I've forgotten. How much impact do Crimson Tower have? They
5.
have
Sorry,
five.
4.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's 4,
impact
but
four.
+1 with Thundering Charge.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they get that. They get one extra impact hit, but
Oh, no, it'd be the same. So they're impact 4, but +1 for Thundering Charge.
oh, they got devastating. No, they get devastating charge.
Oh, sorry,
So
yeah.
they
Sorry,
get
man. Yeah,
plus
yeah,
one impact and the line breaker. So
yeah.
yeah, so they've got to impact five. Um, but I think the Thunder Riders still just chip them to the top a little bit, just because of those trample you can get afterwards.
Yes, of course. I didn't realise that Thundering Charge and Devastating Charge were 2 different rules. On there, there's too many. That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
I think they don't have Juggernaut, do they? No.
No, no, no.
That's thingy. Yeah, no, I think definitely, yeah, definitely Thunder Riders. I think you're definitely right
Mhm.
with the Apex as well. Because again, the Apex not having any evasion, it doesn't necessarily want to be in combat that long. It definitely wants to like hit um, and kill in one go because it will go down maybe in like one or two turns of combat.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
this is the dragon that the Slayers are after. Right?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's it, yeah.
This is like the perfect target for the Dragon Slayers.
Mhm.
Defense 3, which the cleave immediately ignores. It hasn't got any
Mhm.
evasion. It's 15 wounds. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
definitely.
Uh,
I would put as an honourable mention as well the Tontor.
yeah, I mean,
Tontor with his, but the Tontor combined with the Chieftain's shock,
mhm.
or the Thunder Chieftain's shock.
Yeah, I think the reason I didn't say the Tontor is the way that I would play it is I kind of plop it on his own, and I'm not really too fussed if I get charged.
Hmm.
I'm pretty happy to just kind of exist as the Tontor. He's just living its best life, scoring zones, stamping on people.
I would say the same. Apart from when I was definitely of the same opinion. But one of the games I had down in Cornwall, I took a Tontor with me, and he got charged. I thought, oh, that's okay. He's only got charged by what was it? Some I think it was just some rages or something, but it wasn't anything like massive. I thought that's okay. And out of 16 dice, he hit twice.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was it was like a free stand regiment of raiders, and they were still there at the end of it.
That's because Raiders are the best.
Yeah, at that point they weren't. It was like, well, that's stupid. So I then didn't want that to happen again. So I changed my tactic to like trying to make sure that if I was going to use the Tontor, I was more concerned about making sure he got the charge.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because
definitely.
if you combine that with the shock, you've got a clash 3 going up to clash 4 doing this
Yeah, that
clash
makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
with 16 attacks, cleave 1, all that, relentless blows. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. So I put him as an honorable mention. But yeah,
Mhm. That's good.
awesome.
And
Um,
Old Dominion.
yeah, these guys are. Um, this is an interesting one.
I think there's one obvious one, and then some other possible ones. So to
Okay.
me, the obvious one is the Cataphractoid,
Yeah.
because their memory. So the Cataphractoid move 7. They're only clash 2. They've got 5 attacks. They're only impact 3, but they are brutal impact 2.
Yeah.
But their memories of old is shock and impact +1. So if you can get
Yes.
these up to tier 3, then you can have kind of impact 5, shock, charging cavalry with brutal impact. And if you add on their friend, the Heteros, they also get
Mhm.
an overrun, which
Yeah.
allows them
It's
if they
awesome.
break or kill a unit with their first charge, they can perform again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're. Yeah, I think you're right. They're definitely a clear. They're definitely a clear hammer.
Yeah.
Um, you see, yeah, or don't mean in a weird way because they don't take any resolve.
Hmm.
It's not that anything they've got is useless in combat or isn't
Hmm.
going to stick around too long in combat. I was kind of thinking like Rangian Guard as well, but then
Yeah.
also Rangian Guard, like they got the hardened one. They're still 5 wounds. They don't take any resolve. They're not that bad as just a brawler, like a hammer and a brawler unit.
No,
You kind of
I
don't
think
care. You kind of don't care what they do.
no. Yeah, I think that Ultiminion are like the brawler faction.
Yeah,
They're pretty happy to just jam into combat. I guess another one could be the Bucephaloi. No,
yeah. I was
I've
thinking, yeah,
literally
yeah.
never seen them. So I'll have to have a quick look at now at what their rules are.
I mean, they're not. They're definitely not bad. They've got the Cleave 3. They've got Brutal Impact 1, Impact 3 themselves. You know, they're basically like slightly tougher Syrians in that
Yeah,
sense.
brute, brutal impact plus one. I mean, I guess these guys still want the charge. You're happy if you get the charge on the Bucephaloi, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're not helpless in combat.
No.
Um,
No. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I think I'm just looking through them. Um,
the Moroi, possibly.
which one, sorry?
The Moroi.
Yeah,
Uh,
actually, yeah,
and
yeah. More again, I'd probably put the Moroi down as like that like the werewolves.
yes, yeah, it's a good skirmish
Yeah, like
unit.
like a kind of like skirmishing. Um, yeah, they've got a lot of attacks and everything, and if they can get their memories rolled off, they get cleave 1. But they're not. Yeah, they're more like a kind of like real good skirmishing, harassing unit, like the werewolves are.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Um, so yeah, Old Dominion, I guess
Yeah,
are just very good brawlers in this case, aren't they?
pretty much. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah,
definitely. I'd say very good anvil and brawlers.
yes,
Not
definitely. Yeah,
necessarily focused on getting that all out attack on you.
no, yeah, definitely that makes sense. I think a lot of sense for the faction. Um, the stupid Praetorians are just going to stand there and not die.
Pretty much.
Uh,
Pretty much. Although
and
honestly, after Cornwall, like, I'm now a lot more scared of Rangian Guard than I was.
they're very good. They were especially good when they were 6 wounds a stand.
Oh, it was still very good. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Cool.
and
Right.
so the next one then is onto well your aforementioned comparison there.
Yeah.
So city states, who do you think are the hammers?
Again, for these guys, probably an obvious one of the Therians.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they are again the real definition of a hammer unit. They want to get into combat. They want to get into a combat and hit. So they're not you're not using them just for a charge or anything. They want to hit, and that's because they've got 5 attacks at cleave 3 with line breaker.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like if we're using like Household Knights Crimson Tower as the thing, this will just go straight through them.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, take Ashen Dawn down to defense 1.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, they've also got. I mean, they've got Impact 3 with Brutal Impact 1, and the Line Breaker will still apply to that as well. But their real damage comes from their clash. It comes from that
Yeah.
clash phase where they're doing 6 again. Basic unit will be 16 attacks each at clash 4. Yeah, cleave 3.
Mm-hmm.
Line breaker, and they've also got a terrifying 1 there as well, just to make it a little bit, just make it a little bit
Yeah.
worse for the resolve roll in there as well. The
And
reason they are a proper hammer and nothing else is they're only defense 2 and evasion 1.
yeah, and
Um,
I'll be honest, these guys just die.
they will just fall
If
over.
anything looks at them, I mean, I know they're wound 6 now, which is better than when I last played them. But yeah, they just die super quick. Um,
Yeah,
I think you're right. And Well, this has always kind of been one of my things with city states is that in my head they kind of want to be the hammer and anvil faction. Like that's their kind of thing, um,
Yes.
or at least I think it should be their thing. But in my experience, the anvils were never particularly strong. Not saying they were rubbish, but they were never particularly strong, and they didn't have many hammers. I guess you could maybe also include the Inquisitors, maybe.
Uh,
Again, not really though. Yeah,
they're not. They're not that. They're not that. Yeah, they're not that threatening, really.
no. Other companion?
Yeah,
No,
they've got
the companion.
six attacks with blowy.
Yeah.
I mean, the companion. I think the companion cavalry have got probably something to them.
I mean, maybe, but
Yes, but they're there. They're there to. Yeah, uh, they're they're almost like a bit of a sacrifice unit. The companion cavalry.
yeah, they're very good at like pinning
Yeah,
your opponent. But yeah, there's not a
there's
huge
not.
amount. Maybe the
I'd say
Hephaestion.
maybe I'd say maybe the Hephaestian
Yeah,
because of
that's
how its spells work as well. So
that's true.
it's more of a priest when it you know, its priest value goes up by the
Mhm.
number of hits it does, and you definitely want it. You definitely want it charging and hitting. I mean, it's very very powerful in itself. You know, cleave 3, 11 attacks, terrifying 2. But you want that. You want it to be able to charge in and hit because it's got impact 5. So any event that okay, it's not going to decimate units on the charge
Mhm.
in its charge phase, but each of those impact that hits adds to its priest value. So you could in theory do let's say you get really lucky and you do like 5 impact hits and you hit I don't know 10 times in your attacks. That's 15 hits. You add that to your priest. You then priest 17. Um, yeah, adds X to spellcaster X to the number of successful hits, and then you chant and then you cast Trident Strike, which is 1 hit on the target per enemy regiment and it's attunement 4. So you could probably do, let's say, another 10. You know, you probably realistically do about 25 hits or so,
Mhm.
and a decent part of that are going to have cleave 3.
Yeah,
So
and that's yeah.
yeah,
That makes sense.
I'd say it's definitely, and I mean it's was it defense 360? It's not that tough when it's getting hit either. I
Yeah.
know I've faced it a couple of times before, and if you just chuck enough dice in one go, it will go down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so it's definitely a monster that is more focused on hitting you first rather than just getting into combat generally
Yes. No, I'd
and
agree.
hitting you
I'd
with that
agree.
charge. Yeah, I'd say certainly more so than the Promethean. Yeah.
And
What about the Sacred Band?
I've not really faced them, but I don't know. In my head, they are more of like a brawler or like an anvil unit.
Yeah.
Um, that doesn't mean they don't do any damage, but I don't know. I think a lot of the infantry in city states is either an anvil or kind of more of a skirmishy
Yeah.
unit. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Uh, so on
Cool.
to the penultimate faction now.
Yes.
Their last year's news, right? Then no one cares anymore about the Swords and Kings, except
Yeah,
me. I do love them.
they've already been cast into the shadows.
Yeah. What? So I think that the main. It's really hard to pick a hammer. Um, but I think because Sorcerer Kings they play a bit. They don't really play like a traditional hammer and anvil game. Like they don't
No.
really have an anvil either. They're far more of like a combo faction. But I do think, at least the way I've played, would be the Rakshasa.
Hmm.
I'd probably consider both of them in there as a hammer, but the Bakasura is, I think, the good one. And so it's move 7. It can triple activate, which is fantastic. And it has arrogance, which means you get kind of a better charge, +3 to your charge different distance against against characters or units with a character in them.
Yep.
It's really, really good. Like, you don't want them to get charged because they're only defense 3. They do kind of go down pretty quickly, but yeah, if you get that charge off with your kind of it's only cleave 1, but 15 attacks, I think is really strong. The other one, the Ravenar, again, you have a similar rule, but charging monsters. It's got a Fiend Hunter. This one's cleave 2. The only thing is that there's maybe less monsters that you see on the table than there are characters, or at least monsters usually are less important to deal with than characters, I guess, in my experience. But yeah, both very good still. They would be my 2 kind of hammer units. What about you? What do you think about Sorcerer Kings?
Yeah, I agree. I would have picked one of them as well. I'd probably say the Bakasura more than the Ravener. Because maybe I was kind of thinking like maybe the Mahout, but again, the Mahout is just good all around.
Yeah, the Mahout I think is a bit of a brawler. It's
definitely a brawler one.
It's like the only unit at the moment that can take a hit. Really, everything else kind of just dies pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'd probably say at the moment maybe this. Which ones are they? The Baby Jin? Yeah, Steelheart Jin.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to maybe go over what they do? Yeah, what do you think? Do you want to quickly go over what they do?
Yeah, so they. So again, on the face of it, they don't kind of look like they have too much. They're impact 3. They don't have any brute or anything. They are 4 attacks, clash 3, but with cleave 2. But the thing they have is elemental. So again, like after the rituals, they can do a triple action. So they could charge, they could like move, charge, and then clash. They're March 7 anyway, so that would mean kind of you've got like the March 7 plus another 7, so you've got a minimum of like 15, 14, 15 inches. And they're yeah, they want it. They definitely want to hit you before you hit them. The cleave 2 4 attacks is going to hurt. But if you can get in combat with them, they're only defense 3, evasion 1, and 5 wounds.
Yeah.
So they're not. Yeah, they're not going to be. They're not tanky by any means. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would class. I think it's weird. I'm not sure. I'm not saying they're a good hammer unit, but I think you need to treat them like a hammer unit more than anything else.
Yeah, I think with the problem that the Steelheart Jin have is that they're an air unit, and at the moment the support isn't there necessarily for kind of like an air warband or an air based army. But I think that I don't think the Steelheart Jin are themselves necessarily bad. I just think at the moment they're not supported. So cleave 2 is nice, movement 7 is nice. I'm sure that if you played wind stuff, there is some kind of combo you can do that I can't think of any off the top of my head. But yeah, I think you're spot on there as well. Move 7 is huge too for them, and I think hopefully over in the future there'll be a bit more support for kind of the air units, and then they'll be a little bit stronger.
Yeah, and I certainly hope so. Are there any honourable mentions there?
Not really. Everything again, they're not really hammers. A lot of the stuff in Sorcerer Kings, it can be like, I mean, really the Efreet or the initial. No, the Efreet mainly can be a hammer because they can triple activate. But again, I wouldn't play them as such. They're normally your kind of front line bad anvil. It's the most part, yeah. And I guess going on finally to the new kids. I'll let you take over. What's going on with Yvonne? I don't
was hoping you were going to take the lead on this one.
Oh man.
I would say probably the what is it? All pretty. Yeah, anything. The things in the Uroni at the moment all seem pretty like pretty solid.
Yeah.
Um, you've obviously got the you've obviously got the different bonuses that you can give them and everything.
Mm.
Um, I think as a general like as a more genuine hammer unit, I think the what was it is it the Genya no Yokai or the Do Yokai? No, Genya no Yokai. I think probably the Genya no Yokai.
Yeah.
Because it's cleave 3. It's got Vanguard. It's got Unstoppable.
Yeah.
It's got Lightning Fury, which I don't know what it does. So I'm just reading it now. Oh, so it gains the benefits of an ideal card and it keeps it until the end of a battle.
Hmm.
So you can give it the bonus from Ka of like that +1 impact hit.
Yeah. That
To
makes
some
sense.
impact hits. But also it's 11 attacks at cleave 3, clash 3, which goes up to 4. Yeah, it's not it's not a. I'm not going to say it's the best. It's not the best hammer unit we've had.
Yeah.
Um, but there are at the moment the Uroni to me are really good all rounders. Like there's nothing that's bad.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, they're very versatile, and I think there are things in here which, again, like you don't aren't like necessarily big bad hammer units, but you want to treat them more like a hammer than anything else.
Yeah. No, I'd agree to that. And that's yeah.
Um, which one? Which one? I've got another example, but which one would you think?
I've
Which one
no
would you go
idea.
for?
I probably have said the same as you. I think.
Okay. Can I say this? Can
I,
I say the same then about the only the only Ayakashi?
yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're similar because of the bonus they get to um their like impact hits
Hmm.
from Ka, which gives them like that +1 impact. Also, these
Yeah.
guys have got like the command special rule is they gain +1 to the attacks characteristic and gain the Juggernaut special rule.
Yeah. Of course.
Again,
Yeah.
these guys are cleave 2, they're impact 2, they could probably go up to impact 3, and get Juggernaut from that.
Mm.
Um, and their 5 attacks clash 3 themselves. Um, yeah, again, they're not going to necessarily decimate as much as other things like let's say like
Mm.
Crimson Tower or Thunder Riders, but you want to be, but because of the bonuses they get from their charging,
Yeah.
like their +1 impact, the Juggernaut, and all that, you kind of want to treat them more with like a hammer mindset than
Yes.
probably anything else. Yeah,
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense.
but yeah, there's no real like standout. There's no real like kind of for me really obvious hammer units. They're all just really like real good all rounders.
Yeah. Again, that in a different way. But yes, like you said, they're kind of like a good brawly faction, aren't they? Everything's
Yeah,
fairly sturdy
yeah, I think so.
with their deal and stuff. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the monster characters in case any of them have anything different
Oh,
as
they
well.
could be.
Um,
One of them's the spelly one, aren't they?
yeah, you got the Jogumo Geisha, which I think is for more. No, that's the more combat one. And then yeah, the Jogumo Mahotsu is the spell one. Yeah,
Cool.
this is belly one. Yeah, no, I think so. Um, yeah, they've got like there's obviously like some clear more anvil style rather than aggressive style like the Kami Ayakashi are. They're not bad, but they are perfectly designed to just sit on an objective and stay there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think that's yeah. I mean, I agree because I have no idea with this faction what the
you're
where it
collecting
comes.
this
Yeah,
faction, aren't you?
I will do eventually.
You're still looking at
So
taking them to UKGE?
um, Maybe,
Or
maybe if
you
I
think
can
the
get them.
price?
I might. I'll see. I might take Norwich. I'll see how I do. I'll see how I feel on. How long is it until UK Games Expo?
Oh, it's a few months. It's like the end of May, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe then. Because yeah, I just need to get a little bit more. It should work out, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm wondering if I can get enough. If I can get enough in of them like built and painted, I'm tempted to maybe run them at UKG.
It's just going to
But
be Uroni everywhere. As far as I can see, it's just going to look like Bushido with like one Spires player or something.
you're only, I'm only, everyone's only.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So I guess out of all the hammers we've looked at, which is your favourite?
Personally, my favourite at the moment is Bergerk's, but I think that the one you're going to pick is the best example of a hammer.
The Thunder Riders.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. To be honest, they're kind of up. They're to me they're the best example, but they're at the moment my favourite is between them and the Crimson Tower.
yeah. Both really good examples, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
they're both really good, but they're also both really fun examples. It's all about that
yeah,
charge.
definitely.
It's all about racing across the battlefield, like screw everything else, race across the battlefield, and just want to like just run to the enemy as quick as they can.
Yes, yeah, no, I'd agree. I think that's what you want because they're not going to survive. Um, you know, they're not going to survive much after first contact. You need to do a lot of damage to your opponent first.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
ah,
totally. Awesome.
okay. So,
Yeah.
I guess with that's we've kind of gone through all of them. And I think we've kind of talked as we've gone through. So, like we've kind of mentioned how you would deal with your opponent's hammer unit. Like, what
Mm,
would you do? You're looking across the table, you see one of these units. You can usually tell which the hammer units are because they've usually got like a big axe or something, or like a
yeah.
big sword, or a big dinosaur. And how would you deal with them? And I think we've kind of touched on it. Like, what you really need to be doing as the opponent is trying to tie them up in combat. There's a few different examples there. So for some of them, like the kind of the impact cavalry we talked about for Thunder Riders, if you march charge them, that's actually a pretty good use of your activation
Yeah.
because you are really, if they're not getting the charge, you are really going to be kind of hampering their ability. Things like the Bears Arcs, though, if you were to march charge them, they're probably fine because they're not losing. They don't necessarily need the charge. They just do a lot of damage. But I guess the
Yeah.
question would be: if you were the player, if you're playing with your kind of hammer units, how would you want to be playing them?
Um, there's I guess there's two ways that I can go about it. Like looking at what terrain there is on the board, use that to my advantage. So, um, trying to make it so that if they're going to have their hammer unit attack me, they're going to have to run into like hindering or water or something. I think hindering probably going to be the best one because it can remove the impact attacks anyway. So if it's like Crimson
Yeah,
Tower and whatnot, like anything you put anything you put in the woods, they're probably not going to charge. So you could put your
yeah,
really
exactly.
high value shooting regiment or something, or like really like high value character or something in the woods, and you're pretty sure you're going to be safe from Crimson Tower.
Yeah,
Um, the other thing I normally do is just accept they've got this really powerful unit. It's probably got a high chance of getting hit first. Trying to if your strategy is about trying to hit that unit before it hits you,
yeah,
it's very risky, and probably 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work for me. So just accepting that you're going to have to use a sacrifice unit, a buffer unit. So you
yeah,
keep I always try to take at least one unit that is pretty basic and that I know can either like score some points, do whatever, hit if it needs to, but mostly be there in front of my really valuable stuff. So whatever hits it, whether it's a charge from Crimson Tower, whether it's Air Sark, whatever, that's died, and make my really good unit normally put that at the bottom of the pile. So hopefully whatever hammer the other guy's got has had to charge into my guys first.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you can't punch. Yeah. And then you can punch. And yeah, this worked quite well in Cornwall. I think it was against Dragon Slayers, if I remember right.
Mhm.
I just accepted, yeah, I'm going to put some Braves out in front. And the Dragon Slayers just were stuck there because they were like, and I think they were behind the Tontor. They were either in front of the Tontor or the Apex. I think it might be in the Tontor. And the other guy's Dragon Slayers, he was just like, well, I might as well keep them here because if I charge into your Braves and kill them, I'm just going to get decimated by that Tontor.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And he had like a big chunk of them as well, so it was almost like a 300-point unit he just couldn't do anything with.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think just accepting something in your army is going to die from that unit. Make it so that it's your cheap unit.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You need to kind of determine what your opponent is going to be able to charge with
yes.
the hammer. Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. What about you?
As in, so how would I play against kind of the hammer unit?
Yeah,
Probably similar.
How would you try and counter or play against
So
a blob of Underriders or Crimson Tower coming towards you?
I mean, so yeah, Thunder Towers, Thunder Towers, Thunder Riders or Crimson Tower, like you said.
That's a new name.
Is that if you can, make it so they're going to go through kind of hindering terrain, that's fantastic. Playing around the terrain, brilliant. But another thing you can do is, like say, one thing that's really important, kind of like you were talking about then, is screening. So you need to have, when you're kind of designing your list, you need to have units that you are going to kind of throw in front of your army, just like you said. So, like for instance, with my Nords list, I've got Raiders. Raiders are great; they're going to score me points. But also, from turn 3, I'm going to have a unit of Berserk behind my Raiders. And so if my opponent is going to charge my Raiders and kill them, now they're pretty tough still. Like they're not like an anvil, which we might talk about in another episode. So, but my opponent is probably going to have to commit something to kill my Raiders, and if I can then follow up into that with my hammer, then I'm kind of winning on that trade. What the thing you don't want really is to have your hammer go directly into an anvil of the opponent. So you want to be able to kill what you're hitting. And so, if I've got a unit of Valkyries, you don't really want to be charging them in the front with your Thunder Riders necessarily, because they'll just tie them up. And you might get through it, but there's a good chance you won't. And at that point, then it's at that point it's just then a bit of a grind that neither side really wants to have. But one of those units is kind of doing what they're meant to, and the other one is just kind of stuck.
Yeah, definitely. And the longer that hammer unit takes to chew through a regiment, choose through an opponent, is the longer it's tied up, the more risk it is in being countercharged itself.
Exactly.
Those Thunder Riders are trying to charge. Yeah, if those Thunder Riders are trying to eat through the Valkyries, chances are they've only got about 1 or 2 turns to do it before they're getting charged in the side or something by Berserks.
Exactly. And if you can take out your opponent's hard-hitting units, then you can kind of just run the field at that point, because like in my list, you don't. Again, Raiders are good, but you don't really care if I've got 4 units of Min Raiders running about. Like, you do care that I've got 2 units of Berserks behind them that are going to do what the killing is. That's what you're really worried about, yeah. So, you don't want to lose your hammers and then get stuck not being able to kind of kill your opponent's units. Yeah. Oh, no. Fantastic. So, do you have any closing thoughts today?
Um, there were some good hammers in the game.
There
I
are.
think
There are.
they're not going to win you the game automatically, or they're not going to win the game themselves either. I mean, um, and I think normally what we've looked at is that normally the real hammer units are locked behind, but they're not widely available.
Mhm.
So there's got to normally be like some. If you're going to take them, normally it's because you know what you're going to do with them.
Mhm.
You know how they're going to work in the army, how they're going to work in the list, and what like your rough strategy is going to be with them.
Of course, yeah.
Um, yeah, I think if you're just trying to take hammer units for the sake of it, thinking I'm just going to go take some hammer units and decimate the enemy
Mhm.
with them, the opponent with them, chances are that's probably not going to work out that well.
Yeah. No,
Because
exactly.
yeah, there can be like that bit of false, yeah, luring into that false sense of security with them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. So,
yeah.
yeah, I think
Final.
next.
Any final thoughts from you? Final words
No. Well,
about these, right?
we've talked about hammers. So, next time, check back in and we can talk about the best anvils in the game, which
Yeah.
I think is my favorite topic, actually, especially in Conquest, because everything is so killy. So,
Yes.
because of the way the game is designed, because everything is good at killing and pretty good at dying, finding units that are able to kind of hold that line in this game is really important. Um,
Yeah,
and they, I think, are actually a lot rarer than hammers, good hammers. Um,
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
so yeah, I'm like I said, really looking forward to playing in Daryl's event in a couple of weeks. So I will
Yes,
definitely check
have
back
fun with
with
that.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hope I don't want to let the side down. I've got to go and try and win that one for
Yeah,
us to
bring it back
continue
to JLO. We've
continue being
we
the
started off the year strong.
exactly continue being the apex podcast of the
Exactly.
UK.
Exactly.
Um,
But it was an event in London, wasn't there, last weekend?
yes, I think
I
so.
don't know
Yeah.
who won that. Yeah, I think Josh and around were attending it. I think it was a
Okay.
bad moon. I don't know who won that event, but I know. One Josh had taken like the 7 yacht on the list.
Ah,
I
brilliant.
think.
I
Yeah,
really
I
love
think
that
that's
list. Is
pretty
yeah.
well. Yeah, I think that
I've
did
yeah.
pretty well.
Speaks of. I think at least some of the Joshing crew are going to try and make it to the UK Games Expo this year, which will be sweet.
Yes, yes, yes,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, very exciting. And I mean, I don't think I'm going to get any of my models painted for this tournament with Daryl, but I will have a painted army for UK Games Expo. I'm
Yeah,
committing to it now. I'm gonna have. It might not be a finished painted army, but I will have something resembling a painted army by May. That's surely enough time to paint some models. So that's
I mean
my
the main thing is yeah, that's your aim. That's your
exactly. I can surely build some brutes. I can build Uroni. That has to be possible, right? Um,
yeah. Well, I'm playing with you only on Friday. I'm
oh,
making
sweet.
like a proxy. I'm making like a proxy list. Yeah,
Mm.
and yeah, you don't need that many models.
No, brilliant.
That's what I really like about the faction. Yeah, you're not needing that many models for them.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you know what? This isn't going to come out in time, I don't think. But obviously, we've got the happy hour on Thursday.
Yep, yep,
Which
yep,
is, yeah. So if you're listening to this, you probably missed it. But it's on the 20th of February,
yep.
and then I can't think of else. If you've enjoyed listening to us today, please feel free to follow the podcast on whatever kind of streaming platform you use, or like and subscribe on YouTube. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, just like we said before, if you're looking at buying something from Parabellum, you want to save some money, throw our code in there for 10% off, which is JRO. I'll put it on the
Yeah.
screen in big letters. You can see. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, awesome. Yeah, you covered everything I want to say as well.
there you go,
As well
fantastic.
from
Well,
it.
James, you
Yeah,
take us out because I don't want to.
still haven't figured out a damn way of ending this. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed listening or watching that. If you have any if you have any questions or anything you want to send in for us to answer as well, we have an email address, which I am going to start trying to plug more because we have it and we want to try and do more with it. So yeah, if you do have any questions, send them into jroconquest@gmail.com, and we'll answer them during the next session, during the next stream. And also, just to like advertise it now and stuff, the LGT is it's not till the end of September, but it's going to be open to 48 players. As well, so it's going to be the biggest one.
46 people for me and James to beat. Right, that's
exactly.
what I was hoping up to there.
Exactly. Yeah. Be really cocky and say, prizes range from second place to spoon. First place would be reserved for one of us.
Exactly.
Yeah, but but no, yeah, 48 players. It's going to be the biggest one yet. It's going to be the full 3 days as well. So Friday is hopefully going to be casual gaming.
Perfect.
As well. So, come along for the Friday, play some fun games, get some last minute practicing as well for the tournament. And then hopefully Saturday and Sunday is just 2 epic days of gaming with a great large group of people playing Conquest.
Definitely, yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, I think the tickets go available towards the end of this month, I think, towards the end of February. So, yeah, and as always, it's a great big event. A lot of people book up accommodation for it, so if you are thinking about it, certainly have a look at accommodation now as well.
I'll make sure to release this after I've booked my hotel.
Just to make sure, yeah. But yeah, awesome. I think that's all from there. So yeah, thanks so much for watching and listening. And just if in doubt, just roll ones.
Rolling dice on the battlefield, armies clash, no time to yield. Knights and monsters, banners fly, we march to war, do or die. Hold the line, don't break the ranks. In this fight, there's no room for thanks. Conquest calls, the game begins. Only one side ever wins. Just roll ones, we're living on the edge. In the heat of battle, standing on the ledge. Just roll ones, it's fate or it's skill. Win or lose, we fight with iron will. Heroes rise and heroes fall. We answer Conquest's mighty call. Each move counts, each step we take. Fortune's won, no mistakes we make. Axes swing, arrows fly. The last argument is do or die. On this field we make our stand. Conquer kingdoms, take the land. Just roll ones, we're living on the edge. In the heat of battle, standing on the ledge. Just roll ones, it's fate or it's skill. Win or lose, we fight with iron will. No retreat, no surrender. We're in this till the end. Rolling dice for glory, where fate and skill blend. Just roll ones, let's take the throne. Our destiny unknown.